I'm going to read 10:25 through 37, the parable of the Good Samaritan, and then just invite comment from you. So here we go. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and all your mind." Let's pause for a minute because Jesus seems to be quoting the Shema, uh, minus the first part, the Hear, O Israel. So talk for a second about the significance of this prayer that Jesus is quoting.
So in synagogue, that was one of the easiest ones to learn in the beginning.
Because you learned it in Hebrew?
Oh yeah.
Can you quote it still?
You're gonna yeah. Yep. And sure. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Ba'ed.
Does anytime you recite the Shema, it ends up being a song?
It, for some reason, yeah, because to say the words feels too robotic, in a way. So it's like it comes out as a song.
And then he adds he adds something from Leviticus, love your neighbor as yourself. And this is the answer that the expert in the law is giving Jesus. He quotes this part of the Shema, the second half of the Shema. All right, so he does that, and then verse 28, "You have answered correctly," Jesus replied, "do this and you'll live." But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So to a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was. When he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, took care of him. The next day, he took out 2 denarii, and gave them to the innkeeper. "Look after him," he said, "and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have." Which of these do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? And the expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." And Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise."
When I was reading this, it reminded me of my journey in AA, which was, I can learn everything there is to know about the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous and be able to parrot all kinds of things that I've heard. But it wasn't until I got into, the real work and connecting with people that things started to happen. Where, there's these two guys who are walking past this person who's clearly in need of help. And they're in charge of, telling people how to live godly lives, and they're walking on the other side of the road and they have no concern. In this parable, he took him to the inn and then paid for everything he needed and then said, if he needs anything else, put it on my tab. And that to me was like much more than appeasing his conscience for seeing a person, helping him out, and then going on his way after that. My experience included just about everything. The big one was opiates. So the opioid crisis that you hear about, that one's really easy because they're easy to get as far as pills and stuff. and it was the one thing that I could I could use, and then it would just numb everything. It was like living behind a windshield. I was completely protected. I felt,
Mm.
um, and I didn't have to feel anything. It's like being a zombie. It's checking out of my life. It's not partaking. It's not um, taking relationships seriously. I stopped taking care of myself, and it's sad,
Mhm.
man. It's real brutal. It's not. Yeah.
Can you see why some people never stop?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because in order to stop, it's very difficult in the beginning, but like in order to stop for me, I had to confront the things that I was hiding with the drugs and like really address what was going on. Um, and it's difficult to do and impossible in my opinion without God. Like
Mhm.
I I was so blessed with being able to go to a rehab and being surrounded by loving people in AA who knew where I was, knew what it was like, and I'm like crashed out on the couch, withdrawing, drooling, and there's guys who are just hanging out and loving me, regardless. So I'm the guy, I'm the guy on the road, you
Yeah.
know.
And
Uh,
the robbers were the drug dealers, or maybe just the drugs. The drugs themselves were the is what stripped you and beat you down.
Totally, and it definitely is a process, a continuous. For me, it was a, a continuous walking in that direction.
Hmm.
But then along the way, I had multiple moments of clarity that
Hmm.
would come from spiritual experiences, from connecting with people,
Hmm.
seeing old hurt in a new way, that it didn't have power over me anymore. Um,
Hmm.
but I got to admit, the big one was actually right after the flood in 2013 back here. And it was just this washing away, like, the whole thing. And I remember waking up actually at 3:16 in the morning before this is before I was saved. And, I was like, I have no idea what that means, but and somewhere deep, like something was happening. So it was pretty incredible.